In Season 2, The Lord of the Rings of Power presents a novel and unexpected tale of Sauron. I admit that, despite my 25 years of Tolkien puritanism, I was excited when the showrunners said that their program will be an origin story for Sauron. It would have been unfortunate if Tolkien had not intended for his famous figure, Sauron, to be misused in the way that he did, but I was worried about how his significance and symbolism would be handled. Notwithstanding, or maybe because of the crazy turns in Season 2, the idea remained alluring, and I'm still captivated. The Rings of Power's first season finale revealed the mystery box containing Sauron's actual identity, identifying Halbrand as the villain. Season 2 is delving deeply into Sauron's origin narrative now that he is publicly revealed. The enemy is portrayed with an unparalleled level of depth and intimacy, revealing sentiments and ideas that Tolkien's heroes in the novels usually kept to themselves. I'm still not turned off by all this fresh content, and I'm relieved that the villain only looks worse in close-up. But several controversial events in Season 2 are making me stop and think. Because of their resistance to the murderous Sauron, the orcs in the Rings of Power Season 2 are becoming less evil and more likable. It is with dismay that I see a male orc urging his commander, Adar, toward peace and refusing to fight. His actions to care for his family, a female orc, and her infant emphasize this. It's possible that the orcs' resistance to Sauron is even more admirable than their resistance to the fight. After being used as a prop by Sauron in his heinous experiments, Adar is now leading the orcs in a battle against the elves of a region in order to reach Sauron. Galadriel is correct, this is exactly what Sauron wants, unfortunately for Adar and his orcs. No matter how good his intentions are, Adar is giving in to Sauron. Ultimately, I believe this is a triumph of narrative, delicately honing in on a discussion that Tolkien grappled with throughout his life, the genesis of orcs and the essence of evil. It does not, however, necessarily establish Adar's soldiers as a hub of evil that the heroes of the program must confront, which may partially undermine the plot, perhaps more so for some than for others. When Adar was a prisoner, the disguised Sauron persuaded him that he was actually in a region where he was trusted, and he was then set free on a mission to gather intelligence. After being set free by Adar and being securely established in a region, Sauron abandoned his Halbrand guise in favor of his elvish version of Annatar and prepared to await Adar's unavoidable impatience and attack on a region. Perhaps what frightened me more was Sauron squarely facing Adar. If not for the element of surprise, Sauron could have easily defeated Adar in combat and used force to subdue a large number of orcs. I understand how Sauron's manipulation makes more sense than direct confrontation in many respects, even if I believe that a meeting between Adar and Sauron is inevitable and required to finish Adar's arc, which I'm sure will end in tears. The archetype that the show is most closely resembling is Sauron, the Great Deceiver. While the Sauron from the Peter Jackson films was portrayed as a big brother figure controlling Middle-earth and knowing everything, the Sauron from the Rings of Power uses religious iconography to represent Satan and the father of lies. In light of Tolkien's worldview, which strongly drew from Christianity, he was a devoted Catholic. I can understand the logic in this. Tolkien acknowledged that his works, like other stories, had allegorical aspects, even though he was well known for rejecting them as such. While the one god Iluvatar had many characteristics with Tolkien's god, Morgoth and Sauron mirrored aspects of the devil, and the 15 Valar thought of archangels. Norse mythology was also referenced frequently in the narrative, although Rings of Power acknowledges that Sauron's demonic trickery was always crucial to the plot. From a logistical perspective, I can also envision Sauron facing Adar with wits instead of force. By the logic of the show, Sauron appears to be able to shape-shift at will, transitioning instantly from Halbrand to Annatar. It is possible that Sauron assumed a hideous shape in order to intimidate the orcs into complying, but it requires less effort and collateral harm on his part to deceive them into waging his battle. In The Lord of the Rings of Power, Adar's army will be ready to seize power when they are able to weaken and disrupt Sauron's elvish foes in a region.